we'll get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 17th meeting of the Quincy Planning Board. First, we'll take roll call.
Ali Shaughnessy present.
Member Kelly present.
Kimberly Beelan, present.
Christopher Meade present.
PJ Foley present.
Okay, perfect. And the first item is to vote on the minutes of the November 19th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. Is there?
Motion to accept the minutes from the November meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item is to approve the calendar for 2026 for our meeting dates. Mr. Stevens, I don't know if you want to
Yes.
touch on that? Sure.
Yeah, good evening, Madam Chair, through you to the board. Last meeting, we had presented a draft schedule, asked members to take a look and advise if they had any planned vacations or time away. Seeing none, we went ahead and set the schedule. We are going to shift back to the second Wednesdays of the month. And then what that did is, once we got that positive feedback at the last meeting, that allowed us to go in and figure out how to manage the summer months. Typically, the schedule gets light. Vacations pick up with membership and staff, and even between review engineers and other departments and other elements of the project. So we like to try to land one of them in there, and we are mindful of the timelines or timeliness that the board needs to discharge applications. So we have zeroed in on that last week in July. In the years past, when we've had the third Wednesday, we've gone with the first Wednesday in August. But we feel as though the spread, I think it'll be 7 weeks from the June meeting to the July 29th, and then 6 weeks to the September meeting. So I think that sort of splits it. July tends to be the traditional vacation month, so, but I think right there at the end is a fair spot. The other adjustment we made is picking up that the second Wednesday in November is a Veterans holiday. So we elected to shift that meeting out to the third week to November 18th. So those are some of the adjustments we made based off of your feedback, and that's the 2026 calendar we are presenting to you tonight.
Does anybody have any? Oh,
Motion to accept the calendar for the 2026 Planning Board meeting.
I'll second that.
okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, great. And before we get into the public hearings, I'll read the open meeting law announcement. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. The board requests that you please be courteous to the proceedings and turn off your cell phones. The planning board reserves the right to administer oaths through the chair, summon witnesses, call for the production of papers, cross-examine any person giving testimony during the proceedings, declare recess, limit debate, inspect the subject site or buildings during reasonable hours, and adjourn the hearing for cause. The order of business will be as I announced. All questions should be directed through the chair. Any person wishing to speak, please raise your hand for recognition. When recognized, please stand, state your name and address, your specific interests in the proceedings, and special credentials, if any, pertain to the presentation. Please speak slowly and within the context of the hearing matter. The hearing is being stenographed and taped for the public record. The planning board reserves the right to exclude any unnecessary, irrelevant, repetitive, or harassing presentations. And on the agenda, we're going to touch on what's been advertised as public hearing for 4 South Street, Planning Board case number 2025-17. We're not going to open that, but we did receive a request from Attorney Fleming to continue to the January meeting.
Yes,
Mr. Stevens
Madam
has the
Chair,
correspondence.
the office received a communication this afternoon dated December 17th from Attorney Rob Fleming. Dear Mr. Fatsis, Planning Director, please be advised that this office represents Quincy 46 South LLC with regards to its application for site plan review for its proposed residential condominium development at 4 South Street in Quincy. Please accept this letter as a formal request for a continuance to the next hearing before the City of Quincy Planning Board scheduled for January 14th, 2026. My client hereby waives the 65-day requirement to hold a public hearing on this matter. Thank you in advance for your consideration of this request. The department supports that. I would note that the application was received on November 4th. The 65 days would be a week prior to the now January 14th meeting. So the applicant is willing to waive the 65-day requirement. So the department supports the continuance to the next meeting.
Okay. Is there a motion to continue that matter to the next meeting?
Motion to continue to the January 2026 meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll give it to member Mead on that one.
All right.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, great. And so then continuing on, we have a continued public hearing, 166 Independence Avenue, Planning Board case number 2025-16. And this one was open previously.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney David Mahoney, and I represent Mr. George Hardiman, who's the trustee of the 166 Independence Ave Realty Trust. And the proposal tonight is for 6 units. Just to orient you to the site, it's located directly across. Joe, can you go all the way up to the photograph that came there? Last page. So that's the house right there on the right. Immediately to the left is the gate to the Quincy Adams MBTA station. So that shows you the proximity, unless you had already been out there to look at it. So Mr. Hardiman is proposing taking that building down, constructing 6 units with 8 parking spaces. It's the proximity to the MBTA was attractive to Mr. Hardiman. He's owned it for several years. And you can go back up to the first page, Joe, please. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Phil Baker from Rockwood Design Group, who can go over the plan and the renderings that he has. Phil.
Members of the board, my name is Philip Baker from Rockwood Design. We're at 1020 Plain Street in Marshfield and 7 Pleasant Street in Milton. So essentially the existing house is a square hip roof colonial with a front covered porch, and I think they have a couple like rear and side 1-story additions currently. So the proposal is to tear that down, demolish it, keep the existing stone wall intact, and then design a 6-unit building. So each floor has 2 units. Each unit is 2 beds, 1 bath, about just over 800 square feet. They're like 808 to 813 square feet each. They all have private balconies. There's 8 spots out back. And really the front is facing Independence, as you can see, is more of a modern kind of clad structure, kind of today's day and age. And then the other 3 sides lend itself to more traditional characteristics, which is more regular, clap siding, hip roof in nature. Which pretty much all the homes in that kind of area of Virgile and other streets are all kind of hip roofs or a colonial flair. We are providing handicap accessible access from the left-hand side of the site. You can see that ramp on the left with the railings that goes up into our parcel. And that existing kind of sidewall there is the existing staircase that will remain. There's access from the front and the rear. So if you park in the back, you can walk into the building. And if you're coming from the T-stop and walking across the street where the lights are, you can walk into the front, which is the middle door you see on that rendering there. So essentially the first floor is just over 2,000 square feet, and the other 2 floors, second and third, are just under 2,000 square feet. So the building entirely is just over 6,000. It's 6,067. And the height's under 35, so we're 34 feet 8 inches currently. So any questions, I'd love to answer them, but I'll kick it over to Mike Joyce from Joyce Consulting Group to talk about site and drainage and stormwater calcs.
Would it be possible just to walk through
Yeah.
the floor plans?
Of course.
Kind of on the screen? I
Definitely,
think
yeah.
That would be
So
helpful.
we go to A3 would be
Sorry.
so these are the elevations here. A3.1, please. So this is the first floor. See there's a rear vestibule and a front vestibule. So the front vestibule is facing Independence, and the rear is facing the back parking area. So these are all Group 1, all handicap accessible. You can roll right in or walk right into from the streetscape or from the back driveway. Each of these units have on-grade covered patios from their dining area. So 1 single bathroom, in-unit laundry, and then 2 bedrooms. One's a little bit larger, and the one's a little bit smaller. All have their own heating systems, heat and cool, and then a nice living space with gas log fireplaces and kind of the modern amenities you'd see nowadays. And then the common corridor is just the main staircase, and if you go up to the next slide, second and third floor are identical. So same idea, it's same open concept, living, kitchen, dining, 2 beds, 1 bath. And there's only balconies on their own units. So the middle corridor has a common balcony in the middle, and then each have their own private balconies left and right for each of their units. But if you go back to the elevations that are drawn, so everything else, the left, right, and rear are all hip roof, and then the front is that modern class. Those are where the gables are going to be prevalent, facing Independence, but everything else will be all regular kind of hip roof to kind of look more residential as it's proposed around the existing site.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Michael Joyce with Joyce Consulting Group, 439 Washington Street in Braintree, the civil engineers for the project. So this kind of gives you a general site locus. Joe, if you could go to the next slide, please. So this is just the existing conditions plan. Independence Ave is on the front here in corner of Independence and Birchild with the existing 2-family home. And there's parking in the rear. I apologize, it's a little light. If we could go to 2 slides, Joe, that's just the demolition plan. Then this is the proposed site plan. So you see the existing, our proposed dwelling in the dark gray box there with the parking in the rear, access from Birchild Street, which is, driveway is essentially in the same place as it is existing, a little wider. And you can see the handicap ramp in the front there, accessed off Birchild Street. So there's eight parking spaces in the rear, proposing all new utilities. Currently, there's no stormwater controls on site. We'd be installing 12 Caltech stormwater chambers below the parking area, which would handle the 210, 25, and 100-year storm. So as a result of the proposed stormwater system, all water running off the site would be reduced from existing in accordance with the Stormwater Handbook, Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook. There's all new utilities, sewer, water, drain, electric and gas, and that's essentially all of it. Let's just check notes here. Yeah, so the stormwater, large storm events would overflow to the city drain below grade. It'd be hard piped, and that's about the extent of it from a civil standpoint. Happy to answer any questions.
So in the parking area, there'll be a central drain, everything sloped to the middle or something?
It's all, the site slopes towards Birchild Street, so there's a catch basin right where before the transition down to the street. So it's all pitched to that
And that catch basin though is on this property?
It's on this property. We'll go into the infiltration system below the parking area. Then large storm events. There's a drain manhole with a weir that throttles the stormwater runoff. So in large storm events, it would go into Birchild Street, but it would still be the rate less than what takes place today.
So in a snowstorm, where do you picture you'd be pushing the snow, and would there be any snow getting pushed over into that corner where you have that central drain?
No, the drain is right at the corner of a parking spot, so I wouldn't anticipate there being
So that
snow
would be
stored
pushed
there.
and blocked.
Right.
That's what I'm getting
Yep.
at, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We might have questions at the end too for the whole team. I don't know. Is that, okay.
Yeah, that's the presentation
Okay.
from the professionals. What I neglected to tell you is we had a neighborhood meeting organized by Councilor Devine. I guess it was probably a year ago. And the project stalled out for a while with construction pricing and interest rates. And so we decided to advance it, or my client has decided to advance it over the past couple of months. And we had maybe 10 or 12 people from the neighborhood were there. And the project is the same. It hasn't changed.
Yes. Thank you. So,
And then,
yeah, do you have some
question on-
questions? Sure.
So they had a meeting
Yes.
with Council Devine,
Yes.
and the neighborhood was receptive of was,
At first, they weren't. They were, I think because they heard it was what it was going to be. They were used to a 2-family being there. This is 6. But I think, and I don't want to speak for them if they're here, but, and Councilor Devine is here as well. I think they warmed up to it when they saw the design And I think they liked the building at the end of the meeting. I mean, it wasn't, I've been through some contentious meetings. It certainly wasn't like that. But I'll let them speak for themselves.
Okay, and then my next question might be for Rob up here. Is this part of the MBTA overlay district, this right here?
No, it's not.
It's not. Okay.
No, it's zoned Res C.
Thank you, Council.
Sure.
Do you have any questions? Yes.
Just a couple, the power coming into the building, is that gonna be overhead underground?
I would anticipate,
I think I stumped them.
no. I would anticipate it being overhead, but I don't know for certain. So,
And
it's a
do you
good question.
plan on having parking lot lighting out there, pole lighting, or any type of lighting out there for the parking lot area?
We were, that is one of the outstanding items we need to get in is a photometrics plan, but we are working with a lighting consultant to prepare that. We do anticipate there being some sort of lighting in the back, but with the cutoff shields to keep light from shedding off site.
What type of heating system are you guys going with?
Assume it's gonna be all mini splits inside the units, all like Bosch or something that's modern amenities.
So they'll be mounted on the side of the building?
Correct, yeah. So we'll find a spot with Mike to put all the utilities, but more than likely it's gonna be right side, not gonna be front or left, that's where the walkways are. So
Okay.
probably all maintained towards the bottom of the plan on this plan you're viewing right now.
And then just to the owner, I just want to let the owner know that the men and women in the city of Quincy would like to work on a project like this. So when you're choosing a contractor, please choose a contractor that can hire the men and women of the city of Quincy, rather than bring people in from out of town, out of state, especially out of state. Thank you. That's all, man.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from you folks? No? Okay, I do have a couple questions. Are these going to be apartments or condos? Has a decision been made about that?
It's apartments, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yep.
Trash storage, where is that proposed?
You stumped them.
Mike?
We don't have a designated spot, but I would assume it would be tote storage somewhere in the rear of the building.
Yeah, so I think it would be helpful to identify where that is because I didn't see any place in the building where it could be, but you could
Right.
correct me. But obviously external storage could be a little concerning too.
Right.
So I think it would be helpful to see that.
Yeah, we could prepare an area with a trash enclosure or something of that nature.
Okay.
One thing I did mean to mention is we did receive a review from the city engineer this week, and we didn't prepare a response, but we are comfortable with the comments that we could address them, so.
Okay. Snow storage. I know there was a question about that. I just didn't know where you're proposing to store
Yeah,
it.
generally the snow storage would be just along the apron of the parking area on the landscaping on the sides. And then large storm events, if necessary, the owner would have a contractor remove it from the site.
Yeah, okay. I think it would be helpful to identify those
Sure.
spots where you're proposing it, lighting you hit on. I just had a question about the handicap space. Is it next to a wall? Is that what that is there?
So as a result of the, one of the requests from the city was to put a pedestrian ramp in. So in order to minimize the length of the ramp, we did bring the elevation of the first floor down 1 foot. So there is a wall at the end of the parking area. It's only about 1 foot tall. It's not a large wall, and it may be something we can address through grading, but I didn't want to show no wall there and then need one in the future. So that's why we have it there. It wasn't initially a 6-inch curb, but we moved up to a 1 foot reveal retaining wall. So
Okay.
probably be like a unilock, Versalog type wall.
Okay, no
That's good
concerns about having that space there next to the wall and impeding?
No, and if
Access.
there was a concern, we could always do one or two things. We could either move the
Okay.
handicap space to the interior and make the other one general parking, or we could move the aisle to where the space is and put the handicap space where the aisle is. So we could definitely address that if it was a
Okay.
concern.
I get, and I think just before the next hearing, it would be helpful, actually, two things. One, I know that there was just some testimony about the mini splits being on the side of the building, I guess, what is that, south, on the south side of the building. Is that the case for the units that are going to be located on the north too? You'd have that piping on the exterior and,
It can be all internally run, so it'd be internally run, they can bring it all the way to the other side of the building. But we haven't really talked heat yet, this is all kind of schematic at the time, but I'm sure if we locate a spot where we can put units, I'll put them all in that entire spot, and have a concrete pad there and house them. We haven't really got to that, but we haven't bid this out yet for like actual construction, so we're trying to figure it all out.
okay. Yeah, I think some additional information about
Yeah.
that would be helpful. And then also I was wondering, could you provide, I know that there was square footage provided for this, 6,000 square feet. And I think you said 34 feet, 8 inches is maybe the existing. What's the comparison between the existing height and this height and then the square footage and this square footage?
Did we run that, Mike? For the height of the existing building?
know.
I think the existing building is probably about 27 feet tall, if I had to guess,
Okay.
28 feet tall. And I think it's 1,800 square feet currently, right now, 1,884, between 3 floors right now. It's a kind of a box currently.
Okay, it's 20. Okay, so I misheard you. So the 34 feet, 8 inches is the proposed.
Is the proposed building,
Okay.
correct? Yep,
Okay.
you got it.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Yep, of course.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Nope. Okay. This is a public hearing, so if anybody would like to speak, it is 166 Independence Avenue, Planning Board Case Number 2025-16. We do have sign-in sheets along the wall too, if you'd like to sign in. Anyone wishing to speak on this? Counselor Devine?
James Devine, 117 Cross Street, Quincy, Mass. Yeah, we did have a meeting. The neighbors were concerned with the size and all that, and but when they saw how the building looked and they saw it, the plans, they left with not too much of an issue. The only other neighbors that would have an issue are that are on Plymouth and Fairchild for parking. It's a tight area. But that's about it. Through the board, is it possible to go back to one of the slides where it shows the 2 streets with the handicap ramp, kinda? Yeah. So it was mentioned, this is a very dark area right here. So through the board, I was hoping that we had mentioned, and I don't know if it was just not mentioned hard enough, but when you're doing your lighting, if we could get some type of lighting in this area. The nearest pole is too far away to get power run to another one, put a pole in. In the future, we're hoping to put in a solar one that maybe will run, but that's a little bit further out. So when you're illuminating the handicap area, which I would think you'd need to, if you could make it pretty good so that area could be lighted, because across the street where the MBTA is, it's lit there, but it's like a little dark spot and some neighbors have had issues. So it would be very helpful for the neighborhood. Just a request. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And anyone else here? This will be continued, so it's 166 Independence. Oh, okay. So there's some items outstanding. And so the continuance to February 11th, 2026.
Yep.
Okay.
Motion to continue this to the February meeting, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
It's a nice looking building.
Merry Christmas.
Per unit, 2.25 per unit. That's high.
It's
But 8 units, 8 spaces isn't.
2 per unit, 0.25 per guest. So now we're up to
14 unit provided.
Patrick Elliott, 6 spaces, good, but
Yeah, it's a lot.
separate.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So,
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
yeah.
I know. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. We didn't-
But the inside is good.
Okay.
It's like 5 degrees. It's
Yeah.
So parking common ownership, and then I think setbacks for the edge where that wall was.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the public hearing for 46 Bates Avenue, Planning Board Case Number 2025-18. This public hearing shall be conducted to review the application of 46 Bates Ave LLC, 76 Norton Road, Quincy, Mass. 02169 for site plan review under Quincy zoning ordinance Title 17, Section 9.5.1 site plan review and 5.1.17 parking waiver. The applicant proposes the removal of the existing single-family house and the construction of a new 3 townhouse-style residential units along with 9 parking spaces. The proposal will also include professionally designed drainage controls and landscaping. The property contains 27,999 square feet of land and is located at 46 Bates Avenue. The subject property is located within Residence B zoning district and shown on Assessor's Map 4083, Lot 3, Plot A. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Patrick Foley, business address 265 Willard Street, and I'm the attorney for the project here tonight. I'm joined with Brian Saluti, who's our architect. Unfortunately, our engineer was unable to make it tonight, so myself, Brian, and Michael, the property owner, will do our best to answer any civil questions or concerns you may have. The property we're here to discuss tonight is 46 Bates Avenue. This 7,300 square foot lot is located in the residential B zoning district of the city. As you can see right here, this is what's on the site right now. It's a single family home, which the owner, before my client bought it back in June, he essentially abandoned the property. It's in disrepair. As you can see right there in the front, it's all boarded up on the front. Look at the side here, it's all boarded up on the side as well. I wish I could tell you that this is the worst part about the property. As bad as the outside looks, some of the stuff that was going on inside of this property is about 10 times worse, and no neighborhood deserves to have that going on inside of their neighborhood. Being abandoned, squatters would go in there, they'd break in, there'd be all sorts of criminal activity going on in the inside as well. So not anything that we want in the property, and it would trigger out to the back here as well. Most of you that are familiar with the city know that there's 2 ways to get onto Bates Avenue. For the most part, you come down Willard, you can go up California, or you can go further down Willard and go up Bates. But also there's a third way. If you go further down Willard out by the highway, it's an illegal right-hand turn by Beyondi's, the auto shop. You can actually access California Ave that way as well. And this is what you have. It's very quiet. It's dimly lit. So a lot of times what would happen, the party that we had going on inside of the house would go into the back. People would come out here. There'd be all sorts of paraphernalia out in the backyard here as well. People would come up here, they'd dump their trash and their junk. Totally unacceptable for a neighborhood. My client sincerely wants to clean up this area. And by the number of support letters we've gotten from the neighbors and just talking to the people in the neighborhood, it's pretty clear that they want to see something more positive in here. My client originally proposed a 4-unit building. After preliminary talks with the planning department, the feedback was this was a little too dense for the site, being 7,300 square feet. So what my client is proposing here tonight is they're proposing to replace the single family home that's on there right now with 3 townhouse style homes with 9 parking spots. This, this fits right into the character of the neighborhood. When you go right down, I have a little difficulty with this tonight. When you go right across the street on California Avenue, there was about 4 different apartment buildings that were just recently built there, so they're fairly new. We go right next door to the property. There's a 3-unit building there right now, similar lot size. I think our parking situation's a lot better than what they're offering over there as well. These will be 2-bed, 2 baths, and like I mentioned, 9 parking spots as well. Right here, this is the current site plan that we have. Not to beat a dead horse right here, but again, 7,300 square feet, existing dwellings, a single family home as well. This is our proposed site plan right here, and there's something I really want to hit on that I feel is very, very important. Anybody that's familiar with the city knows that Bates Avenue is a very busy cut-through street. You're coming right off of the highway, and also as you're going down there as well, it gives you access to West Quincy, it gives you access to Milton. So like I mentioned, it's very busy. I want to hit on the front of our building is facing California Avenue, which is a lot quieter. So all these cars will be pulling out and pulling in on California Avenue with very limited traffic. Like I mentioned earlier, right there, each unit's gonna have a 2-car garage, which will give us 6 spots, a visitor spot in the back, in the driveway, which gives us 3 additional for 9 total parking spots there. We're gonna have sprinklers, a sprinkler room in the first unit. Each unit's gonna have a water heater in the garage as well. Right there, we're gonna have landscape right there on the front as well. Brian has the full landscape plan in his architect drawing that he's gonna go over. In the back here, that's where we're gonna do our snow storage in the back as well. Just wanna hit on the trash, it's 3 units. So with a 3-unit building, the trash barrels will each be in the garage. Whoever's living there is gonna be responsible for bringing out their own trash on trash day. So I'm gonna have Brian come up here and just go over the architect drawings for you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening to the board. My name is Brian Saluti. I'm the architect for the project. Name of my company is Brian Saluti Architect, and I'm out of Weymouth. So we go back one. No, keep on going. Right there, okay. So you're looking at an aerial of the site. It's highlighted in green, right in the corner there. Just want to point out that the immediate neighborhood to that site is consists of a mix of single-family and multifamily type buildings. And it's also close to Willard Street, which is a heavy commercial area as well. And the most familiar looking abutter that everybody recognizes right off the bat is the Southeast Expressway. That runs parallel to California Ave, and that comes with a barrier wall. Note that the Bates Ave property has 3 fronts to it. It faces Bates Ave, and it also faces California Ave on the corner there. Most of the existing buildings shown in this area along California and Bates, they're kind of tight to the roadway. And so they're most likely non-conforming, which is what to be expected. This is an older part of the city. I'm familiar with it. I grew up not too far from here. And so thought I'd just point that out. And so if you could go down one. There's the building again that Patrick pointed out. It's all boarded up. This slide here shows our site is on the right side, by the ways, where the tree is, and you can see a glimpse of the cape that's there now. And then directly across the street, you're looking at a 3.5-story, 12-unit building. So if we go to the next, okay. So from what I picked up on the city data thing, they say there's 5 units in here?
There's 3 no
Okay.
I want that.
All right, so there's a multifamily. Well, the site actually is on the left side when you're looking at this slide, and where the trees are. So here you have another multifamily across the way on California Ave, and beyond that, you see a white building there, and that's a 6-unit building that follows along Bates Ave. So let's go to the SP1 drawing, please. Okay, so this shows the property and the proposed ground floor layout of the proposed three-unit townhome building. Note the property front to 3 public ways, like I mentioned, and because of this, we decided to declare the rear of the property as a side yard, and so we're going to be respecting 15 feet in that particular case. Note that we have adequate room for 2 cars in the driveway and 2 cars in the garage. Another thing I'd like to point out is that the site has a downhill slope to it. So from the Bates Ave side down to the California Ave, it drops 5 feet in grade. And I'll be showing you that in the elevation drawings to follow. These individual footprints at the ground floor level, each one of these units is, at this level, is 24 feet by 26 feet. This equates to an overall dimension of 72 feet long by 26 feet deep. This allows for 4,258 square feet of green space, if I did the math right, which doubles the zoning requirements. The asphalt coverage is 27%, which is just below the maximum allowed of 30%. So I'd like to go to the A1 drawing, please. Okay, so this shows the floor plans for all the levels. I'm showing that ground floor plan again on the lower right-hand corner. And now you can see it a little clearer. It's enlarged. You can see the entrance. You can see the stairs that take you to the upper floors. There's also a room down there. Most likely will be a furnace and a hot water heater there. The second and third floors that you see on the upper half of this plan, those floors cantilever by 2 feet to the front. So the depths on those are 28 feet versus the 26 feet down below on the ground floor level. And the widths, they just remain consistent at 24 feet. So if you look at that second floor plan, it's basically just an open space with the living, kitchen, and dining all in one open space. And there's a bath there, a few closets. And also there's a small balcony toward the rear of the property with stairs and those. That's a second means of egress, which is required by code. The third floor plan, which you see on the left side, the upper left-hand corner there, that's basically the bedroom level. And we're talking 2 bedrooms per unit with the full bath and a laundry setup as well off that hallway. And then finally, what I'd like to mention is that there's these stairs on the 3rd floor level take you to an attic floor. Now, this is going to be exclusively for storage. It's going to be unfinished. So, I mean, these townhomes are notorious for, lack of storage. So I always try to capture the attic areas when possible. So next drawing is A2, please. Thank you. This shows the elevations for all 4 sides of the building. Note the grade change on the front elevation there. It's the building steps down accordingly, responding to that 5-foot drop in grade. I'd like to think that these townhomes have a simple colonial appearance to them. The architectural features include shingled asphalt pitch roofs, double-hung windows, and cantilevered window bump outs along the 2nd floor level, along the front and the 2 sides. The siding will most likely be hardy plank clapboard with trim work, with PVC trim work throughout. Note the height of these buildings. They're going to be 35 feet from grade to the peak. And I have like 4 sketches to follow, which kind of puts this together a little easier to look at anyways. So this is SK1. This sketch shows the proposed townhome building at the intersection of Bates Ave and California Ave. Note the left side of the building faces Bates Ave, and the right, which is really the front of the building, faces California Ave. You can also see the highway barrier wall beyond, and it's basically heavily wooded, if you want to believe it, back there. And some of that spreads on to the property we're looking at as well. And we'll be trying to save those where possible. So the next sketch, please. This is the SK2. This sketch shows the proposed building along California, and you're looking toward the Bates intersection beyond. Note the window bump out features along the 2nd floor level. You can see them a little clearer on this sketch. And then the SK3, please. There's nothing too exciting about this. I mean, you're looking at the rear of the building, but I'd like to describe the fact that we're gonna be putting a PVC fence up along the borderline, the lot line. And this is, you can also see the egress deck areas, which is required by code. Now, before I conclude, I'm sorry, why don't you go ahead and show me that sketch? This is a roundabout face. You're looking at the front, and you're at California Ave, and you're looking directly at the front of the building. So now you can see the driveways clearly, and the garages and the entrance areas. Okay, so before I conclude, I have a landscape plan. Down one, please. Okay, thank you. This was prepared by Karen Goslin. She's a landscape designer. Her name of the company is CMG Design, and she's out of Abington, I believe. So she's just showing one cherry tree up on the Bates Avenue side of the property. So the opposite end, where you see the Southeast Expressway, like I said, I don't show the trees, but it's like heavily wooded in there. And it's there for a reason. So there'll be some smaller plants that will be locating to the left and the right side of the driveways, running along the landscape retaining walls. And also there'll be additional plants shown at the two green islands between the driveways. And in conclusion here, I'd like to say that there's a fair enough amount of lawn area for snow storage. And so that's my presentation of the architectural plans. If you have any questions regarding architectural in nature or landscaping plan, let me know.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll give the floor back to Pat. Oh, okay.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I just have a couple now.
Yeah.
The back deck, is that just the width of the stairs? Is it gonna be big enough to put chairs, anything out back there or anything? Gonna look very wide,
You'll be able to get a small chair here, that kind of thing.
small chairs,
Mainly for egress.
just for egress. So it's more of a it's a landing, it's not a deck,
It's
The
large
landing. it's a landing. And then you mentioned that California Ave is very dark. Do you guys plan on having any outside lighting facing over that way? So if the residents out there,
Yes, there'll be lighting, yes.
so you'll have lighting on the house that's
Yes.
shining on the, but now will that be on a common meter? I mean, a common light, because only the right side of that house will really faces that California Ave. I mean, what if the person on the left wants to go there? So that should be on like a timer.
Okay.
Show them off the lights, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? No? Okay. I just have a couple.
Sure.
Do you know if it's going to be an apartment or condos?
They're actually going back and forth, trying to figure out what they
Okay.
want to do there now. I think a lot of it's gonna depend on the market with interest rates and how much inventory is on the market.
Oh, and this was just kind of a note. I think, at least from my perspective, it's a little light on the landscaping. I mean, just to put in one tree. There were some significant trees. I mean, it looked like there was a nice tree in front of the house right now that's coming down. Actually, I question whether it could be saved. But if you could identify if there's anything that can be saved, and then maybe some more
That's that's doable.
trees or. Yeah. And maybe I don't want to design for you, but arborvitae or some evergreens in the back. I mean, you're putting in now the rear, and you've got 40 Bates, right there next door, and you've got, 3 essentially the back of the units, and there's no greenery back there. I think that would be nice to see some additional greenery back there. You disagree?
Actually,
Oh, okay.
I did mention that it's heavily wooded back there.
I guess I'm talking about where you're installing a fence,
Oh.
and then yes, yeah,
The rear of the building, you mean?
yes,
Yeah,
precisely.
you have like 15 feet though.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it would be nice to see
Yeah, some back
some
right
additional
there.
greenery. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, you mean the back of the lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the trees and everything.
Yeah.
street woman usually makes you replace.
What's that? Yes.
I'll get.
Right there.
Okay, that was all I had.
Thank you.
Okay, we.
I do have one comment, if you allow.
Yep.
Madam Chair, through you to the board. We've seen a lot of these developments and we work closely with the Inspectional Services Department. And one thing that does happen, and it doesn't always happen at occupancy, but sometimes afterwards, is when you have a 3-unit building, there's this desire for the owners or tenants to maybe want a little bit of their own outside space. And there's a tendency to want to put a fence extension from the house to the back fence. And with the 3rd unit that shares a wall, it can get a little tricky. And because that's a second point of emergency egress is coming out of the deck. So I'm just picking up on Member Kelly's comments on that deck. And I think what you were getting at is it's not a functional deck. It's simply a second point of egress. There has been some cases where that second point of egress walked out of the garage at street level and they did away with that deck or that second set of stairs. But in the mind of, from the Inspectional Services Department where they have witnessed, after it's been built, fences trying to create that middle unit trying to create its own backyard, so to speak, and having a patio or maybe a grill. They can't be blocked, that egress. So there may be something in light of the comments from the members to that effect as you guys, take these comments back and, before we see you next time. So that code issue is it's a really tricky one. And we've seen a lot of these townhomes that are stacked together and there needs to be a free and open passageway for those internal units to get to the outside. So there's a little bit of like.
It is tight back there, but there is that 3-foot allowance.
We wouldn't have a fence between the building and the fence, the back fence.
Well, even if this goes to condos, the future owner may want to do that and that.
No, not allowed to.
Right. So I just felt like, because I've encountered that in some of the other projects we've had before us, I just wanted to add that a little bit and for you folks to hear some of the feedback we get when these, projects are built. So that's some added commentary, I think, for consideration. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I think Member Foley had a
I
question.
did, thank you,
Yep.
Madam Chair. Just, Brian, one thing. I know that the attic areas, you emphasized 100% storage. The 2 end units provide some natural light. The middle unit, nothing at all. And even though it's just dry storage, as I think about maybe a dormer or something along the back,
Can you go to the elevation on
yeah, maybe I'm missing something.
There's a window up there.
On the middle unit?
A2?
That's what I'm looking at.
There you go. So you see the sides, I do have a window on them.
Yeah, on the 2 end units, and so the middle unit kind of gets worked out of any natural light, that's
In the past, put skylights in, the middle one. I mean, that's an option.
It's an option. I'm also very aware of our friends in zoning that are gonna say we don't want that to be a living area. I get it. But the 2 end units do provide natural light, which I think is great. And ventilation, by the way, just, on a hot summer day, you open those windows and the whole house cools off. It's just a thought. It's something on the ridge, just to get some, even if it's just a transom window to allow some natural light into that center unit, because the 2 end units have it. I think it's valuable. Just a thought. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, so this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak? It's 46 Bates Ave. If you'd like to come and speak. And there is a sign-in sheets as well, so if you want to sign in, you can do that too. I do have, yep. Oh, yep, so you just have to come up and identify yourself and speak into the mic if you could. Thank you.
Anne from 34 Bates Ave. I wanted
What was
to-
your name, I'm sorry?
Anne Hurt.
Anne Hurt.
34 Bates
Okay,
Ave.
great, thank you.
I wanted to understand drainage. This area floods, especially you mentioned it's a 5-foot, it's going downhill, so it's gonna end up in my property. So I was just wondering, like right now with the excessive rain, it ends up there. So I just wanted to understand a bit more about that.
Okay, great, we'll get an answer for you on that. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
Jack Donahue, 98 California Ave, directly across the street. I'd like to, first of all, commend the board. Thank you very much for your great work. I'd like to thank the mayor, Koch. I'd like to thank Police Chief Kennedy, and I'd like to thank Captain, I can't recall his name right now, and I'd like to thank Jim Devine. That house that is there now was a living nightmare. Number of deaths, overdoses, prostitution, drug trafficking, cocaine cooking, methamphetamine, everything. There isn't anything I don't know about drugs. I'm sober 40 years. I'm a liaison for the mayor in the drug area in the city as well. I commend these people, whatever they're gonna do. I've never met them, I don't know them, I've never seen them before. Jim advised me of this as a good city council that he is, and I decided to come down. I've been in this city, my family, since 1840, 5 generations. I've seen the city go down, and I've seen it come back. You are the navigators that are keeping the city in that right direction, and we need you. I didn't come up here to give a speech, I just came down to say I hope that you put a lot of trees, I hope you take care of the neighborhood, and I hope you never allow what happened to my neighborhood happen to again. I was in Miami, I developed a place called South Beach. I was there for 25 years, I know exactly what you're doing, you're doing a great job. This city is unique. People don't understand all this great development that's going on, all the investment, all the people coming here, all the bristling lights is because of the direction that you direct with the mayor and the city council, which is changing, of course, but a lot of great things. So I just came here tonight to say thank you. Probably don't hear that a lot, maybe you do. And I want to thank you, and I hope you have a great project, and I hope you put a lot of trees, and I hope you take good care of the neighbors. And I represent that entire neighborhood. I know everyone up there. And it's changed over the last number of years, and it's very, very different now. I know the Galvins, they do a great property over there. They got a number of them. My house will never be developed. It's built in 1840. It was a quarryman's home. My great-grandfather died in the quarry, which is now Home Depot. So, I mean, I know the city. I grew up here. I went to the Quincy school systems, and I know what's happening. You got to keep an eye on this city. There's a lot of situations that are trying to change it. Don't give up on the tradition. Stay the course. And I thank you. And I'm a little nervous up here and I never get nervous. Talking from my heart. Best of good fortune. I brought my guy here. He knows all about development stuff. You can talk to him and tell him. But I like what they're doing. Nobody is more affected than me, except this young lady. Excuse my back. Okay, so thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you.
James Devine, 117 Cross Street, Quincy, Mass. Can we go to A1 through the board? Is that okay?
Yeah.
No, sorry, L1, my bad. L1. So you said the cherry tree there. It was mentioned about, there's a maple. It's pretty tight up in the left corner. Through the board, does that have to be removed? It seems like it might be very far out of the way. If it could be saved, I think that would be very good for the community. And then on the far right side, where 49 Bates has a sliver of land there, I know that there's some trees on the other side of California Ave, but the property starts at that, not the property, but the area goes up. There was mention of flooding, which is true. And this area all runs down towards Furnace Brook, because it all comes down into it's a watershed that way. So there are some trees in the pictures. I don't know if they're actually in 49 Bates Ave or if they're on this property. If they're still on 49, then I'm sure they'll be staying there because it's not the property. It is? Okay, oh, perfect. That's great. Yeah, so if that one tree in the front left can stay, it would be great. If it can't, maybe a few more trees, not big, but that will grow to be big eventually. You know, I'm not saying break the bank, but maybe something small that will grow big over 10, 15, 20 years further down the road. There was mention of trees from most people. So other than that, it looks nice. There's been abandoned cars there even before all this started, all the other talk of the drugs and all that type of stuff. There was cars there. It's an eyesore. A few of the other houses further down have been changed over. Across the street, the Galvins have a property there, very well maintained. So there's a few left that needs to be a little bit better attention. So that this is, I think, one of those infectious things that I hope is going to just keep that area growing. There's a few people further down California that I will hope to take care of or influence to try and do better. So with this being added in, it's going to make it a lot easier to encourage people to do well. So thank you very much for all your work. And I've also seen Michael's work in other properties, and they look very nice when they're done. So I know it's going to be a good project. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to read, we have 2 letters that we received, so I want to read those into the record. The first is a letter of support for 46 Bates Avenue, Quincy, Mass. Dear Sir, Madam, we are writing to express our support for Connor Grehan? Am I pronouncing? Grehan? Okay. Regarding the proposed project at 46 Bates Avenue, Quincy, Mass. As longtime residents of Quincy, we value responsible development that improves our neighborhoods and enhances the overall quality of life for the community. The property has long needed attention, and we believe the proposed updates will significantly improve the look and feel of the street. The plans presented reflect thoughtful design and clear commitment to maintaining the character of the neighborhood while also making necessary updates that will benefit both the property and surrounding homes. We appreciate the board's consideration of this matter and strongly encourage approval of the project. If you require any additional information, please feel free to contact us. Sincerely, Mary and Richard Myrna. And the next is to the members of the board. I am writing to express my strong support for the proposed project of 46 Bates Avenue. As someone who believes deeply in expanding housing opportunities for local residents, I see this project as an important step forward at a time when housing availability and affordability are major challenges for both the city of Quincy and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a whole. I support responsible development that strengthens communities, enhances quality of life, and respects the character of the surrounding community. The property at 46 Bates Ave, as it currently stands, is condemned and has been a source of concern for nearby residents. As a newer member of this neighborhood and someone preparing to start a family, I would welcome meaningful improvements and thoughtful investment in the area. The development team's comprehensive building plans demonstrate a clear commitment to maintaining neighborhood character while bringing new, much-needed housing to the community. Their attention to design, scale, and compatibility shows respect for the existing streetscape and for the people who live here. For these reasons, I strongly encourage the board to approve the project. It represents a positive, forward-looking investment in our neighborhood and in the future of Quincy. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully, Joseph Bindo. Okay, so any other public comment tonight? This will be a continued public hearing. I do just want to circle back on a couple items. One would be the drainage. I know that there was a question about the drainage that was raised. I don't know if you can address that. I know the civil engineer is not here.
Yeah, we have catch basin there.
Catch basin on the property, so.
Yes.
Connie, you wanna?
Yeah.
Yep, so can you just come up to the podium and provide your name and?
I'll speak up the best I can on this. I'm an electrician, but my understanding is that the catch basin will drain to a certain area, and then there's pits with rocks in it, and they disperse the water evenly.
The tank system is the Cotex system.
So that's obviously the lowest elevation. The water will get there, and it will be dispersed slowly, so it won't pool up or go into other people's yards.
So you're catching the runoff on the property?
Underground.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Is it, when you're catching it underground, do you have a a holding tank there, or you're doing some type of a,
The gutters pipe underground to the tank.
but then it just goes, disperses down into the ground slowly on its own?
Yeah.
Or do you have some type of retainage design? I know your engineer is not here,
Yes.
but maybe we could, because we're gonna continue this, so maybe we could talk to the,
This is the leaching field right here.
Yeah.
On the roof,
Yeah,
here,
that's fine, I'm happy.
direction to this area. And all the driveways will be directed to this area, and all the water will go there and dispersed evenly over time. Nothing will go on any other property.
so yeah, we just wanna make sure that it doesn't get dispersed down to Mary's property,
Absolutely not.
and that we know that it has the capacity to carry the water there before it goes there.
Even the roof water, everything will be contained on site.
So, again, not to like beat a horse dead here, but the engineer's not here.
Yes.
So you can't give me like a volume capacity that this is gonna retain. And I'm not trying to pick on you here, I love the idea that you're doing this, this is awesome. But I don't wanna upset the neighbors to say, all of a sudden, she got rid of an eyesore in a really bad situation, only to get more water put onto her property. So let's get an engineer to tell us, we're not gonna put more water on Mary's property.
He'll be here for the next meeting, absolutely.
Okay,
That's fine.
All these numbers have been given to the planning board and the calculations, stormwater report, all that information, has a certain guideline, and we'll way past that.
I love it,
Thank you very much, guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
And then just the other item to circle back on was the maple tree, because that was the tree that I was referring to initially, so if you could look at that too.
The tree that you want us to try to save?
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely will look
Okay.
at that, yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Any other questions? Okay, this will be continued.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah, Pat here, the continuance. And I suppose, I'm sorry, excuse me, so the resident in the back, ma'am? Ma'am, I just wanted to also add that the proponent has filed a stormwater report. Part of our job in the department is two things. One, the city hires an independent engineer to review that report. And two, we also have the city's engineer review that report. We typically like to post those reports, well, typically they're up on the website a week before any meetings, but we put them up as they come in. So you could always check the city's website and see those reports and read them yourself and see the back and forth questions to the proponent's engineer. So, and remember, Shaughnessy, as you're well aware, there is this back and forth on the stormwater report. There's a requirement for them to handle their own stormwater and not make any flooding worse. So I wanted to leave that with you, that we are reviewing that. Great, thank you very much. And so Attorney Foley, Member Beelan won't be here for the January meeting. She will be here for February. This review is going along. We could recommend this be continued 1 month to January, or if you want the full 5-member board,
go January.
we could move this to February.
Go January.
Oh,
That's fine.
geez, Pat.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh.
So, I mean, it is underway.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah, that's okay.
And we miss you, Kim, honestly.
I'm just kidding.
Yes, yes. I'm sensing.
I'm in for it from now on, huh?
Yeah. I'm just teasing.
I'm sensing there's, we're doing the review. We have the one matter coming back in January. There's no new applications for January at this point. We've got about another week of the deadline, so.
I feel we're moving in the right direction with that. I feel there's a couple minor changes we can make. I feel everyone's kind of moving in the right direction on this. I'm comfortable.
That's
Do it,
my
January.
sense that's my sense as well.
Yeah.
So that would be.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Oh my God, no.
The January 14th meeting would be the department's
Sounds good.
recommendation.
Okay, so is there a motion to continue to January 14th?
Motion to continue to January 14th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Thank you.
Okay.
Merry
It's
Christmas.
unanimous. Thank you, Merry Christmas. Okay, so that concludes our public hearings. We already voted on the board meeting, other business?
Yeah, it's not listed, but I did want to just make a statement here that the department did receive a withdrawal letter for the Beale Street project. That would be 42 Beale Street. It was the proposed large multifamily in Wollaston. That matter was continued from the November meeting to the January meeting. But since we already had the withdrawal request, I thought it important to at least mention it to the board. That matter will be back before this board for the January meeting for, your official deliberation on that request. But thought that, word could maybe get out to the public a little bit, so they don't have to come in for that meeting, if it's not moving forward.
Makes sense.
But stay tuned, until this board accepts any of that communication. It could always be withdrawn and they'd want to move forward, so stay tuned.
Okay, great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Oh, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.